everybody, to After the Impact, where we discuss what happened on the Impact show that we just saw tonight. Welcome everybody in. Hope you're all doing well. If we didn't see you for the show, I hope you enjoyed the show. And basically what we're going to do is take the next half hour and we're just going to kind of chat about what our big takeaways were from tonight's show. We'll score it. And you guys, welcome to all do that too. Let us know what your scores are for tonight's Impact Wrestling show. And as we go through, you guys are more than welcome in the chat to come out and give us your thoughts on what were some of the huge points of tonight's show as well. The chat's already gotten started. Let's fucking go, says James Chadwick. The Coug agrees. Heather says, I would have scored the show higher, but that ending segment got me. Not buying Eddie's excuse. Kind of aggravated at what Moose said, too. Okay. People getting under Heather's skin a little bit tonight. Why is Eddie bringing up Omega? Sammy and Moose were the ones to face. That's exactly why he's bringing up Omega, because he wanted to face him, and he never was called on. Graham, back to hear the thoughts of the chat. This is my favorite show of the week. Love Impact Wrestling and the great community on this channel. Well, thank you, Graham. Yes, it is a great community. All the people in it are awesome. Actually, it was Christian who brought the title back. He was in AEW, but still willing to work with Impact. So, yes, it did ultimately go back to Josh. The Coug says, agreed. Insider is one of a very select few pro wrestling chats that is not hate-filled. For that, we have to give them their respect. Well, we try, and thank you for the kind words, Coug. Really appreciate that. We try to keep it, keep it friendly in here. Hey, Gus. James Grant says 9.25 out of 10. Conrad saying hello to everyone. Gus says, didn't see Impact tonight. I was busy. Well, go and check it out when you get the chance. It was a good show. Much love from Jeff and from Tazzy to everyone. Yes. All right. So let's go around table and do the scores. So I'll start with Tazzy. Tazzy, what'd you score tonight's show?
Whew, man.
Here we go. Here we go.
Hold on, Tazzy. Hold on.
The storyline of the show was amazing today.
That was right on cue.
Let me put it like this. I love when shows make sense. We've been getting very, very good storylines this year with all the promotions this year, and Impact is just like no other. It's everything makes sense. I am very intrigued about this No Honor No More storyline. This is like, what is about to happen here? Who's coming back? We're going to see Sammy sometime with this whole thing. Looking forward to that. The matches, the psychology in the ring was very, very awesome today. It was just very intriguing today with all the matches. What was my favorite match though? I don't know. They was all good, honestly. I'll keep it real with you. They were all good. I can't like point like, hey, I like this match, but I like all of them. I'll just keep it real with you. So for that meaning, it's going to be a solid 9 out of 10 for me.
All right, 9 out of 10 from Tazzy. Okay, let me go to the right down under to Jeff. Jeff, what'd you think of tonight's show, man?
Man, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great show. We were wondering, are we going to get answers following No Surrender? And we got a ton of answers.
We did.
Have led to more questions at this point. So that's what you want. You want the stories to keep evolving. And that's exactly what Impact is doing. I'm excited to see. I didn't know I needed a Moose and Heath match in 2022.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're getting one. Honestly, with very little turnaround time, Sacrifice is looking like a great card too.
It is.
And they haven't had a lot of time in between. So scoring tonight, I'm gonna give tonight an 8.75.
Okay.
Okay. The only thing I'm taking off for, and I'm probably gonna take off like 0.25 from here on out because of this. I want Sami Callihan back, dang it.
Yeah. Me too.
I
Like I
want
said,
that.
I was kind of building it up in my head a little at the end there. I would have loved to have heard that little note, that sound effect, and see
Yeah.
him in the middle of the ring with the bat. That would have been awesome. But they might save that for, and we don't know. We don't know where his injury status is or if he's ready to come back. But they may save that for a bigger pay-per-view too. I mean, even if he, yeah, yeah, could be Slammiversary even. We don't really know when he's going to be cleared, so it could really be anything. But yeah, that's it's going to be awesome when it happens because the fans are really going to get behind him, which is going to be cool. So, and he's got a vendetta not only now against Eddie, but he's got a big vendetta against Moose.
Yep.
Because Moose was the one who took him out. Don't forget, he took him out in the back, and that was how they led to the injury story and why he's been shelved. So don't forget about that. So. I firmly believe it will happen. Kenny and Josh are both gold. The fans want it. Heather said Moose ticked me off too. Heather got ticked off a lot tonight. Deanna says 7.75. All right, Conrad, what'd you think?
I'm going to align a little bit more here with Heather and who else at 7 point? Was that Deanna? I'm going to go with them tonight. I'm going to give it a 7.75. And that's not to say it was bad. Not at all. I think that there were a few things. They fell into some tropes tonight with the Eddie Edwards, but I think all good things will come with this storyline. You may have not liked the excuse tonight, but I think in the future there's a bigger payoff, like you guys mentioned with Sammy. Sammy may say he wished that he would have finished the job when he missed with the bat the first time. So I think there's a good story to tell here with that, and you can have him be your Sting, for lack of a better terms, going forward in this storyline.
Yep.
I am still very, 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 very interested in what was going on with the Bullet Club and God. I love the twist and turns. Who would have thought that it would be VBD and God teaming up against the Bullet Club?
Yeah,
who said that? Who had that on their bingo card?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. None of us.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to go with that. And Moose and Heath, absolutely great. Heath is in great shape. It looked like he's ready for this. And I'm sure they're going to have a tremendous match against each other. W. Morrissey, I'm interested with what they're doing with him and Brian Myers. He can't get his hands on the most professional one because all brains up here, baby. So those are some of the things I'm interested in right now going on the show.
Yeah. It almost kind of seems like this was a starting point, and as well it should be. It came off a big pay-per-view, and that's where they do start things up. So, and like Jeff said earlier, not a lot of turnaround time for the next one. So they kind of have to work. It's a little tricky when you do that because they have to work storylines through a little bit instead of maybe ending them right away. You're gonna now the Heath and Moose thing may be a one-off for the pay-per-view, so they're kind of building some maybe things that'll be a one-off, but then you're also building storylines through that as well. So it's a little tricky when you have to do that when you have two shows coming really back to back. So yeah, very interesting. A lot of cool stuff tonight. One of the things I took out of it was how many times Josh Alexander's name was mentioned, and we mentioned it during the show. So those of you who were with us watching, it comes off a little weird to me, just because when you separate yourself from someone and a wrestler leaves a show, you don't usually find that person being mentioned a lot, regardless of whether or not it's just weird because they don't work there anymore, but also because, I don't know, there may be some things where you may not want to remind fans or bring that up, because there's a lot of fans that are out there. When Josh puts tweets out, and he put a tweet out for his merch and stuff like that, there are fans in there saying Impact made the biggest mistake ever getting rid of you, and that's all over the place. So you're kind of pissing off those fans, I think, by bringing him up over and over and over again. So stay tuned with that, because I think there might be something more to that. I think there might be something going on with Josh Alexander. So stay tuned, because it could be a work. A lot of people didn't, let me tell you, I didn't think so. And that just goes to show you that they played it out really well. I really didn't think it was. So we'll see, but stay tuned. The stuff with Honor No More, fantastic. I love it. It's more and more and more each week. It's reminding me of the NWO. And that's very cool, because that's one of the best things like that takeover style factions you will ever see. And it just reminds me of there's layer upon layer upon layer. There's more people from Impact now starting to change sides. Will you see more of that? What's this whole thing with Alicia now? Can Alicia somehow fight that off? Is she going to be the Maria Kanellis of Impact? So will she take that stand and be part of Impact's team? And that makes it even bigger because then Eddie is fighting against her in essence. So that's very, very, very interesting. The fact that they're now signed to Impact Wrestling as well going forward. What else we had? Yeah, the Morrissey thing. Of course, Morrissey and Moose are done, but Morrissey came out, and now him and Brian Myers should be very interesting because Myers is always one step ahead, and I'm sure Myers is going to use that. Jonah and PCO, look out. Two big men, two monsters, and he kept. Now it all comes together because I was saying during the show that he kept tweeting about, "I want to face a monster. I want to face a monster." Well, you got it. You're going to face a monster in PCO. So that's really interesting as well. Deonna Purrazzo with that challenge that she kept going. The promo we got with Mickie James and Chelsea Green, and Mickie wanting to give her that title shot. But of course, that got interrupted by Tasha, and now it's going to be Tasha against Chelsea for the right to battle Mickie for that title. So very cool stuff. A lot going on, a lot to digest. I'm going to score it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 for tonight's show. I really enjoyed it. And again, yeah, there was some, Heather's pointing out some little things that maybe, she didn't like necessarily about what Eddie said. I mean, Eddie came out with a promo where he was coming off as being kind of just selfish, right? Like, it should have been me. It should have been me. Coming out and just saying that why did you turn to all these other people? I waited my turn, and it should have been me that went and got that belt back. So listen, he feels that genuinely that he was the star of Impact and he's the guy, and he was, made to feel that way, that he was Mr. Impact and he never got his chance. So that was the reason they came up with for him siding with his ex-mates over at Honor No More. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right. We will go round table. Eddie was sounding like a crybaby, says James Chadwick. Okay, yeah. I mean, hey, if you want to take it that way, sure. I mean, he's a staple of Impact turning heel. So yeah. All right. Let's go, and we'll just go round table and just give me two things. Because again, there's so much to pick out of, but two things that really stood out for you, and then what is the thing you're maybe most excited to see play out? So two things that really stuck out from the show, and then one thing that you're most excited to see play out in the next few weeks. So I'll start with Tazzy this time. Tazzy, two things that really kind of stuck out for you, and what are you really excited about coming up in these next couple of weeks on the show and also on the pay-per-view?
The Honor No More storyline is very intriguing because it has layers on top of layers. It can go either way. It might be possible that Eddie's just lying to just he's probably like a mole. He's probably still on the Impact side, but he's like getting into their heads a little bit, and you don't know. You never know. Could be a Sting thing. It could be like, hey, I'm joining. Nah, I'm just kidding. You just don't know. The Knockouts division title match, that's going to be very intriguing because of the match next Thursday. If something goes wrong, it might end up a triple threat match. By the way, somebody just said that Tasha just said, honey, I'm home. Yeah, I just put her to sleep. Anyway.
Tazzy wishes.
Okay, that's my craziness for tonight. It could be a triple threat match. I don't know how long Mickie James is actually going to be continue wrestling. That's the other thing. It's like, is she going to continue to keep the title all the way to the main pay-per-view? That's probably the best bet. Probably be the long run. Probably be her versus Green. So that's what I'm looking for. What is Jonah going to do? Is Jonah is he a future Impact champion? That's the other thing too, because
Yeah.
I want to say him and Moose. Honestly, I'll keep it real with you. I
Oh
would.
boy!
That's all I'm saying.
Wow, that's the irresistible object meets the immovable force. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be insane. Um, yeah, look, I mean, just there's so many things you can pick out, and so many things you can pick and choose to see, what it is that you really want to look forward to, and you're not going to have long to wait. A lot of this stuff, like I said, there's a pay-per-view already next week. So, but yeah, where that could culminate with Mickey, I mean, Slammiversary, if they want to keep it going for that long, would be her versus Chelsea, and maybe Chelsea then takes the title. So yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, Conrad, go ahead. What two things that kind of stood out for you, and what are you really excited for?
I'm gonna save one for Jeff since I talked about it already, so I won't do that.
Okay.
But I am gonna put on the Mickey James Chelsea Green storyline. I'm curious to see. I think this can go longer, Joe. You brought up Slammiversary. I think you can stretch this to Bound for Glory.
Okay.
I think you can tell a real interesting story as far as that goes. And the second thing, I'm gonna put W. Morrissey up there. I like that he's kind of a baby face now.
Yep.
That he's in a different role. And I think the people are going to get behind him once he gets something that he can sink his teeth into. So that's kind of one of the storylines I don't think a lot of people are really talking about, but I think that'll be one of the better ones.
Okay. All right. What did James Honor No More and Bullet Club stuff I'm looking forward to the most? Two things that stood out to me: Tasha, Tazzie's wife, yelling at Mickey James, and the storyline with Honor No More. Yeah, I mean, how could you not dig the Honor No More stuff? The Bullet Club stuff is really. The Bullet Club stuff intrigues me as well, because I wasn't sure after last week what was going to happen, because right away you started to have some stuff going on with the Bucks. So then I'm like, yeah, are they gonna? In fact, I think I even messaged Conrad with it. Are they gonna lose it? Are they gonna move there now? But from what we were talking about on the show during Impact, if this is indeed going to be this big announcement that Tony is going to make, if this is a shared thing, then maybe that's where all this is headed. Between, if you're going to have the Bullet Club and you're going to have people from Impact there, and you're going to have, maybe it's just all going in one direction. So, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, like Conrad mentioned too, that they joined up with Violent by Design. All of a sudden, Violent by Design got stood up basically by the Good Brothers, and wanted a shot, and the Good Brothers were like, no, you're not. And then now they're siding with God, which is really, really interesting to see where that's going to go. The other thing for me, besides that, the Josh thing, what I'm most looking for. Oh, and I have to mention the Johnny Swinger thing. Johnny Swinger, man, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Poor Johnny's gonna get crushed. But man, the Moose and Heath promo I loved. Absolutely loved it. Came completely out of nowhere. Nobody saw it coming, and the comments about Heath's kids by Moose was awesome. I mean, it's great to see. Moose is a mean SOB, but he comes off with some really good one-liner stuff sometimes that it's hard to believe he can keep a straight face when he does it. But yeah, so that's going to be a real interesting match to see as well. And always interested in what Mickey and Chelsea are doing, because like Conrad said, that's a long-term thing, kind of drawn out, and you could draw it out even more. He's probably right. If you want to go with it as long as you can, just keep drawing it out, and then just hit everybody with it. So excited what's next with the story with Eddie. Yeah, of course. Jeff, what about you, man? Two of the things that you really liked, and what is keeping your interest going forward?
Two things I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, God and the Bullet Club. That's going to take place in several promotions, not just Impact, not just AEW. It's going to be New Japan too. I feel like it has no pun intended, but impact all over the wrestling world. So that's huge. The other thing that stood out to me was this dynamic of Jake something and Trey.
Mm, good call.
Seeing them, they had a good match on BTI, but seeing them kind of facing off, I it might be time for Jake something to get a huge push here. I mean, I think he's been on quite a streak, so we'll see what happens. What I'm looking forward to though, what happens next for Jordan Grace? Because you kind of have her in this lane where I feel like she's so far removed from the knockouts division sometimes, or the knockouts title, that we don't really know where she fits at this point. So are they going to move her more towards doing stuff with the X Division title again? I mean, is that a direction, or what's going to happen there? I'm just curious to see what happens down the road for her, because um, I mean, who knows what's next?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, good points. I mean, her and Cardona wrestled 3 times now, and of course Matt won all 3. So you probably don't see that going anymore. But yeah, that's a good point. The other thing I'll bring up too, and just because I love them so much, but what about Decay? Decay has been gone for a good while now. You saw Havoc, I think, was on BTI last week, but Decay has been kind of out of action, other than Tarus. So, where are they? So yeah, you got some people that have been off for a little bit. And where are they all going to be in the next month or so, next like few weeks or up to a month? Where, how are they going to all come back? The inspiration, we've of course that whole love triangle with Caleb, which I'm sure James Chadwick absolutely loves. Um, And don't forget, too, you've got Macklin going up against Eddie Edwards. That's coming up as well. So that'll be very interesting. Macklin being that guy that no one trusted. No one wanted him on that team. And then, now all of a sudden he's fighting for the Impact side, and he's got a match coming up with Eddie Edwards as well. So keep your eye on that one. Jordan Grace should be the second woman to become Impact World Champion. Wow. Wow. Okay. Clay Lewis, my birthday is March 3rd. I'll be 22. Well, happy early birthday, Clay. Yeah, what's up with the K? I don't know. All I know is I'll be meeting Rosemary very, very soon, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. So much so that they're saying they're going to film me when it happens. So, yeah. I wish the K would cross the forbidden door to AEW or even MLW for a stint. Graham says the Knockouts division is in a great place at the moment. You have Chelsea, Mickey, starting potential feud, and you have Masha. Yeah, Masha Slamovich. We didn't see her this week, but she's really being built up. Lady Frost, who looked good tonight as well. Tasha and potentially Jordan Grace in the mix. Yeah. I mean, look, their Knockouts division is right up there if they're not the top. They have incredible women in their Knockouts division, and I put them up against anyone. Got to give credit to all these wrestling promotions with crossover storylines. This would never have been possible 10 to 20 or even 30 years ago. Reminds you a lot of the territory wrestling, a lot. And yeah, they haven't seen it in a while. Caleb has to go away heat with me. Wish they would drop that. Macklin is a face now. Yeah, apparently. Well, I mean, he joined their team. It's just that kind of nobody really thought he was. They kind of, were waiting for him to stab people in the back. But yeah, so there you go. 30 years ago, maybe when the territories existed, they swapped talent all the time. Heather, you can't be that old, Heather. You can't be that old, or at least me old. I would say I probably have some years on you, but yeah. Well, there you go. So that is what we thought of tonight's show. You guys, hope you enjoyed the show as well tonight. And thank you for coming out with us and staying a little late afterwards to talk about it. So a few things on the agenda. First of all, this coming Sunday, we have our weekly wrestling wrap-up show, which we will talk about tonight's show. We'll talk about all of the events going on in wrestling, talk about Raw, talk about SmackDown tomorrow night. We'll talk about AEW with some great promos, man. AEW had some killer promos this week. Jericho and Eddie Kingston, and of course MJF's promo. Man, that man could do promos. So some really cool stuff going on over there. And we will discuss that. We'll talk about Impact, of course, tonight. So make sure you join us for that. We also will have our debates. We'll have our grievances to share. We'll talk about our favorite moments from the week as well. So join us at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday night. So if you have nothing to do on a Sunday, come out and check us out. And then, of course, we'll have Abby's on Monday, and we'll start the whole week over again. And we will have a go-home show next Thursday right here for Impact Wrestling. This show will then be used as a prediction show, which we always do when we have a pay-per-view coming up. So we'll do our picks on this show next week at this time. And then, of course, come out and check out the pay-per-view with us on Saturday, which we will start like we always do at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So another pay-per-view already. It's insane. Just getting into March, and we're doing another pay-per-view. You're going to SmackDown tomorrow, Gus. Awesome. Enjoy. If Moose retains at Sacrifice, you think there could be a feud between Moose and Macklin for the title? That's a good question. I don't know who they'll have Moose face going forward. I don't know if this Heath thing is a one-off or they plan to use it as a storyline upcoming. I'm not real sure. It's a good question. Thanks, Insiders. Great insight from you all. Cheers. Cheers to you, Graham, as well. All right. So that's what we've got coming up. Tazzy, let the folks know what you've got going on, and then we will get on out of here.
Yeah. Tomorrow's the hype show for SmackDown. Now, remember, as it's scheduled to be a SmackDown hype party, but it's for all wrestling. We could talk about WWE, AEW, whatever. We could talk about everything. That will start an hour before SmackDown, which is 7 o'clock.
All right, very cool.
Yeah, so Monday hype party for Raw. We did a lot of hype party. Raw has been pretty good lately, so actually we don't need a hype. But yes, it's that's at 7 p.m. I am still working on the kinks for NXT. The after party for that, I might switch it back to a hype party for that too, depending how. I guess it's kind of late on Tuesday night, so I'll still try to figure that out. And then, of course, we'll start back up next week.
Very cool. Speaking of NXT, we'll have to discuss this on our Sunday show too. Did we see a farewell and goodbye from Tommaso Ciampa? Very, very interesting. If you saw that, it was an interview that was done off camera. That got shown, and really kind of seems that he said his goodbyes. So that might be the end of Tommaso in the NXT. So great wrap up. Thank you, Heather, for coming out. And again, don't forget to check out Conrad's channel as well. Some good stuff that he did over the past couple of days. The review from AEW yesterday, and of course the video game video that he put out as well. So make sure you check out Conrad, Everything Pro Wrestling, and of course we always love having Conrad with us on Impact Show as well. So, all right, guys, that is it for us tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Hope you enjoyed the wrestling tonight, and thank you all for coming out and spending your Thursday night with us. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe, everybody. Be kind to one another, and hopefully we will see you all for our next show, which will be Sunday. For the wrestling wrap-up show at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great rest of your night, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.